tää on uusi ohjelmapaikka meillä. Ja mä itse asiassa soundcheckin tässä olla. Joo, eli niin kun kävi silleen, että aloitin opiskelut ja lauantaisin on kursseja. Ei kannata keskipäivällä pelata. Mut voidaan tälleen saunan jälkeen pelailla. Että niin ehkä vähän rennommin jotain. Anyhow. Meillä on Star Trek-peli. Ja ennen sitä, niin kun aletaan pelaamaan, nyt meni jotain kurkkuun, niin haluaisin näyttää teille yhden tietynlaisen trailer-videon Suomen pelifirmalta. Tuli just tuossa PlayStation pelinäytössä esiin.
I'm trapped here. In this nightmare. I write to escape. Every word is a step forward. Into darkness.
I'm glad you're on this case with me, Anderson. It's right up your alley.
The victim was one of their own. FBI Special Agent Robert Nightingale.
So you knew our victim?
Only the rumors. He was chasing a writer.
Someone knew they were here. Was playing a game with them.
The killer left a message.
It's for us. The text is about us.
We were all trapped in a horror story. The horror story wanted us dead. There's something I'm forgetting. Something important. Something's not right!
Easy now. First things first. What's your name?
Mutta niin, jatketaan tosiaan tuosta Epic Games Star Trekin, ja tää pitäisi olla ei huono. Vähän niinku jos Telltale teki Star Trek-pelin, niin ilmeisesti tässä on vähän sama idea, että niinku seikkailupelistä on kyse. Noniin. Meillä on kuva, mutta tubettajan päästä ei löydy. Noniin, siinä ollaan. Hyvä homma. Joo, tätä voitaisiin nyt pelailla. Tossa olisi tulossa muitakin pelejä olisi ilmestymässä kesäkuun alkuun. Olisi Amnesia ilmestymässä. Se me löydetään tuota Game Passin kautta. Ja sitten Elder Scrolls Online on uusi Necromin toi lisäosa tulossa kanssa, niin sitä pelataan myöskin. Mutta tässä välissä olisi ehkä tämä ja sitten toi Cthulhu, mitä mä voisin pelata. Anyway, lopetetaan lööripöttelyä ja aletaan pelaamaan. Haluaa, että toi äänet on liian koko olevan. Joo, alright. Ei muuta kuin... Noniin, eli sun valinnat vaikuttaa tarinaan.
Captain's log, stardate 57931.4. The crew is restless. After spending too many months piecing our ship back together, we're finally about to venture out on a new mission.
Kukahan vanha alus se on?
Letting this unprecedented ion storm slow them down. They're ready for something different. I know I am. Perhaps more than any of them. Fortunately, nothing ever stays the same. It's entropy, the nature of the universe. Change is inevitable. And while entropy says order gives way to chaos, in this case, change is good.
Tosta voidaan olla monta eri mieltä.
Our new first officer is en route to the Resolute. Jara Rydek. I know she'll bring a welcome dose of new blood to the crew.
Kopalid. Enterprise tapas noi ensimmäisen kerran Raisella. Traaginen rotu. Oho. Vähän myrskyä. Joo, niillä on toi päähän. Oho. Okei.
Thanks.
No problem.
I'm not great with flying.
Huh.
But these little shuttles are the worst.
You don't like flying. And yet, you joined Starfleet.
There's a reason I'm not a pilot.
You should try it sometime.
Eli tää on varmaan Dominionin sodan jälkeen.
I hadn't noticed.
Noista puvuista
I'm
päätellen.
on my way to my first assignment. When we get to the starbase, I'm transferring on to the Resolute.
So am I.
Jaha. Aluksen nimikin
It'll
tiedetään.
be easy for Jara to step in at the 11th hour like this.
Miranda-luokan alus.
If she's half the officer I knew she could become when she was a cadet
Excelsiori.
at Starfleet Academy, she'll be the
Steamrunneri oli toi. Sitten toi oli toi Equanox oli tutkimusalus tuo pohjalla. Centaur takana. Mikähän ton Equinoxen luokan nimi oli? En muista kyllä. Päivää. Äppärillä uupituupi ja kännyllä viitsi. Tuosta katson ja tupalien raahadu. Joo. Mä vaihdoin ihan tässä näin niinku pelaan ohjaimella. Tää kyllä tarvis vähän ehkä shadereita tää. Haluaisin injektoida reshadilla tähän jotain.
Commander? I'm not usually such a nervous wreck, by the way.
Aika korkea-arvoinen tää nainen.
Oh yeah?
Maybe you've heard of the Torvalin test?
Sounds familiar.
It's a tactical simulator that makes the Kobayashi Maru look like a picnic on Pentaris 5.
Kobayashi Maru voi vielä voittaa.
I finished in the top 20.
Aha, mutta se oli vaan simulaatio.
Not just in my class. I mean, all time. In the history of the Academy.
Really? That's quite impressive.
Thank you. It was tough. But you know, I set my mind to it and it paid off.
place your hand here. Hold it there for a few seconds.
Tutoriaali, okei, eli tässä täytyy... Mitä mä teen? Tällä zoomaa. Right triggerillä näköjään valitsee. Jara Rydek.
Welcome, Commander Rydek.
Kopalian DNA 52%.
Jara Rydek? You absolutely crushed the Torvalin test. You finished in what, like the top 3?
That would be me.
Now I'm really...
Kuva oli oikeesti hyvä muistutus, kiitos. Hilpeyttä, joo.
Sorry, I didn't realize before. I just came off the shuttle and was glad to be on solid ground.
Valitettavasti tässä on toi aika, niin ei voi varmaan hirveän paljon ajatella näitä valintoja.
Good to meet you.
I believe Commander Ermot is expecting you. He's in the concourse just ahead.
See you on the Resolute.
Täällä on vielä työt kesken. Hommat ei ole vieläkään valmiina. 75% vasta aluksesta korjattu. Mitä ihme... Mitenköhän nää on muuten rommuttanut tää? Tuli vaan mieleen. Okei, tästä pääsee juokseen. Tulee vähän Star Trek Online mieleen, mitä mä oon myöskin pelannut siis.
If I remember my briefing, Commander Ermot is a Bolian, so I'm looking for someone with blue skin. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm just... Well, I'm not sure where my departure dock is. The Resolute's gonna leave without me.
Look here. The Resolute is leaving from this dock.
Oh, you're right. Nerves must be getting to me.
Oli sittenkin oikealla portilla.
Thanks so much, Commander.
Kukahan virtsapää tässä voi olla? Jos ollaan varakapteeni, niin kuka virtsapää me voidaan oikeasti olla? Kannattaako? Ei oo Poliaania näkynyt.
Excuse me. Have you seen a Bolian around here?
Yes, sir. Right back there, near the replicator.
Ah, there he is. Thank you.
Happy to help, Commander.
I'll replicate myself a meal once I'm on board.
Replikoitua ruokaa.
Excuse me.
Welcome to the edge of the galaxy, Commander Rydek. I'm Commander Jan Ermot, Operations Officer on the Resolute.
Nämä on periaatteessa samanarvoisia.
I hope there wasn't too much trouble getting here. This storm isn't making anything easy for us right now. I know conditions are less than ideal at the moment.
It takes more than a little turbulence to rattle me.
I'm sure that's the case. We're grateful you were able to come fill our first officer vacancy at such short notice.
Jaha, uusi varakapteeni.
We're lucky you were available to us. Coming from a premier starship and all. To our little research vessel.
Tutkimusalus.
What exactly have you heard about me?
First in your class at the academy. Received the Starfleet Award of Valor during the Dominion War.
Okay.
Most recently, tactical officer and chief of security on the USS Endeavor.
Endeavorilla
You've done your
ollut.
homework?
Like I said, we're very lucky.
Hiljaisella noin pelin äänet. Centaur-luokan alus.
The USS Resolute. She may not look like much compared to the bigger ships, but as far as science vessels go, she can more than hold her
Tuo on
own.
myöskin törkeen vanha alus.
And she doesn't look so bad considering 6 months ago she was nearly cracked in half venting plasma fighting for her life.
Okay.
It was an accident?
The equipment malfunctioned. An accident suggests fault, but no one's to blame. It was a planned test, but the warp core was pushed beyond its limits. It destabilized the dilithium, there was a runaway reaction, and the warp bubble deformed. thought we could reach a higher resonant frequency, but it was more than she could handle. Cost us our first officer and 22 of our crew.
Box.
At the end of the day, we're all responsible for each other.
I can't even begin to imagine what that must have been like for you. I'm so sorry.
Ehkä mä en olekaan virtsapäinen varakapteeni.
Thank you. It does weigh heavy. There are some things you can't forget.
Did you lose anyone close to you?
Too many.
Joo.
And to that I'll just say, you have big shoes to fill. Listen, I realize you've known Captain Solano for quite some time, and I'm sure you're ready to bring your best. But I should warn you that when the captain announced you would be the new first officer, there were those who felt it was a mistake, that he should have promoted from within. So you might want to tread lightly at first, until they come to value your contributions as much as he does.
Trust is earned, and it sounds like I have my work cut out for me. But I plan on winning them over.
I don't doubt that. I just figured it was better to know what you're walking into.
Of course.
Starfleet has assigned us a high priority.
Okei, eli täällä on menussa, että mitä me ollaan tehty. Jos ollaan periaatteessa positiivisia mun niinku miestyjän jäseniin tosiaan niinku Jara ja Carter, kaksi päähenkilöä näköjään. Jos me pistetään vähän kovemmalle noin äänet.
I know he's eager to see you.
Will we be mission ready in time?
We have every intention. The crew has been working around the clock to get the ship ready. There's still so much to do.
Onko tässä meidän toinen päähenkilömme? Joku on pyyhkinyt purkkaa siihen.
Stuck. I got just the thing.
Find the plasma torch.
Need to rewire the optical data network. Just need to burn this gunk off. Hyperspanner does almost everything, except what I need right now. Now, need to melt some corrosion, not just a plasma injector.
Eli pitää toi keskellä tämmösiä minipelejä tässä. Tää on vähän ehkä helpompaa tällä näin ohjaimella. RS. Okei, pyöritään. Vähän niinku Quanticin nää Detroitit ja Heavy Rainit. Ei niin paha kuitenkaan. Okei.
Is that?
The Lower Decks. Se on muuten erinomainen piirretty sarja.
I thought the thing was totally fried.
Muistakaa katsojat, että jos haluatte pelata tätä näin, niin tää on myöskin aika hyvä tapa spoilata itseään. Mutta siis tämän pelin voi ilmeisesti pelata monella tavalla läpi. Mutta tää ei ole mikään superpitkä kuitenkaan.
And not a moment too soon. The boss wants us down in engineering, like now.
hangaari.
Come on.
Oh, these are heavier than they look. Makes more sense than zero G. You're welcome. Good to see her fully operational again. And if she breaks, we'll just fix her.
Alus on räjähtänyt melkein kahtia enää. Hyvä, että ollaan kunnossa. Tää muuten trilli tää nainen.
Engineering.
I heard the new XO just arrived. Won't be long before we get underway. I just hope whatever Chovak called us down for, it's something good. I can never tell with him. I'd rather not end up degaussing plasma manifolds. Hanging upside down makes me queasy.
What's the matter, Nilly? Afraid of a little hard work?
A little hard work? Really? A little? 6 months of putting this ship back together is a lot of hard work.
Yeah, and here we are. Just about ready to go.
Se on varmaan aika pahasti ollut räjähtänyt, jos on puoli vuotta tarvinnut rakentaa uudestaan.
Looks like we got here before.
Lieutenant Commander Chovak.
We were just looking for you, Commander.
Petty Officers Ed Solar, Diaz. I was beginning to think you would be late. We are all hands on deck right now, which means if you are not at your post at the appointed time, I do not have someone to replace you. A point I have been forced to make to Petty Officer Edsolar on repeated occasions.
Well, Commander Chovak, isn't it true that if we were almost late, it categorically means that we were not late?
That is correct, Mr. Diaz.
I mean, if anything, Edsolar and I are following the schedule.
Space Service.
Yes, perhaps I should adjust the schedule accordingly.
Lower decks, yeah.
So, I don't suppose you wanted us down here to check in before we go off duty?
Equip yourselves in EV suits to work on the exterior of the
Jaha,
hull. I need you to
avaruuskävely.
tune the structural integrity field for optimal performance. The subspace distortions and ionic interference we are experiencing are preventing the proper calibration. But this ship must be ready to depart shortly, despite the storm. The precise nature of these disturbances are not fully understood. But many systems have been affected by the wide band of emissive activity.
How concerned should we be about the storm? Are you worried?
Vulcans do not worry. We calculate the variables and take appropriate precautions to mitigate the risk. Right now, that entails making critical preparations, because long-range sensors show that these disturbances will be more severe at our destination, the Hotari system. You have your orders. Do not delay.
Yes,
Roger
Commander
that.
Chovak. All hands on deck.
Hauskaa, että näin on tää lower decksikin tässä
All
näitä.
hands on
Ihan
deck.
perus.
That's what Chovak said. You know what that means? It means this ship isn't ready to go out and the brass know it. So they're throwing every warm body at it. And they're going to leave on schedule. Consequences be damned.
It all comes down to us, Nilly. We're the ones who will get it ready.
I know what we can do. But this isn't just any old refit or any old relaunch.
Oh, whoa. Excuse me.
A lot of new faces coming on board.
Uusia
It's gotta be
miehistöjäseniä.
tough coming as a replacement. That's for sure.
They seem all right. Something that happened 6 months ago while they were off on another ship? Well, that's nothing to hold against them.
Yeah, you're right. I guess getting a little new blood on board doesn't hurt. Hold on. Now there's an old face I didn't expect to see again. Hey, Miranda!
You weren't gonna leave without me, were you?
Miranda, you're here?
We thought you were staying on the Adirondack.
Transfer came in at the last minute, so I figured I'd slum it on this bucket of bolts. Looks like you got her back together pretty nicely. I wasn't sure what to expect.
I'm gonna take the high road here. Pretend you didn't say that. and welcome you aboard.
I
He's a
take the
better
high road.
diplomat than I am.
He still owes me a bottle of Saurian brandy. Don't think I forgot.
Oh yeah, it's coming back to me now.
Maybe Carter can rustle up that bottle and we can give you a proper welcome. As soon as we wrap up this quick little spacewalk.
Koska viimeksi avaruuskävely on tehty.
Here, let me help you.
Thanks.
So what's the word? Are you back in the security rotation?
Yep. Still running with the usual suspects.
Whoa.
Good to go.
Oliks First Contactissa? Ne taisi olla about tän näköisiä ne avaruuspuvut.
See you on the other side.
Activating magnetic souls.
Magneettimyrskyssä pihalle.
Love you never gets old.
Let's go.
Captain Solano should be here momentarily. You'll have to forgive me, I don't know much about Kobleods. But my understanding is you need a steady supply of duridium to keep your cell structure stabilized, or bad things start
Nyt on niinkun sukupuuttoon kuoleva rotu.
plenty of duridium in sickbay, so there's no risk of running out.
Thank you.
Feel free to make yourself at home. And help yourself to whatever you like from the replicator.
Miksi tää on muuten lähtenyt edellisestä? Tai siirretty pois edellisestä
I
aluksesta?
can't believe he keeps this around. Don't even know where mine is. The first mineral Captain Solano ever
Geodi.
discovered. Always was the nostalgic type.
Siis tää ilmeisesti tuntee sen kapteenin kuitenkin, että... Tässä ei ole hotspottia.
Can't wait to plot a course myself. Just a sip of something. Ractigino.
Oliko tuo alkoholi? Juoma.
That sure has a kick.
Se on alkoholijuoma.
Jara Rydek.
Kivat viikset.
Last time I saw you, it was graduation from the academy.
Niin ne on samaa vuosikurssia ilmeisesti.
And you were burning with enough ambition to fuel 7 trips around the Necrid Expanse.
It's good to see you again, Captain.
I could not be happier to have you on the Resolute. The only regret is that we couldn't provide you with a warmer welcome. The arrival of a first officer to her new ship deserves a bit of fanfare. But, unfortunately, we've had our hands full with the refit.
That would be totally unnecessary. I don't need any pomp and circumstance.
You've been here all of 5 minutes, and already you're trying to make us more efficient. I like it. As I'm sure you've heard, we've had a rough go of it these last 6 months. The ship suffered some damage, but not nearly as much as the crew.
You'll have to forgive me. I don't really know the details.
Starfleet has been kind enough to keep the story contained. Probably because they want to protect me.
Sähläskö kapteeni?
But I don't mind telling you. We
Oliko
were on
Costa
the verge of a
Concordia?
major scientific breakthrough. A quantum leap forward in warp core technology. 10,000 teradynes per second. The ability to travel at a sustained rate of speed longer and faster than we ever dreamed. What would have been the crowning achievement of my career. Right there. Within our grasp.
Kannattaako sitä yrittää 40 vuotta vanhalla aluksella?
Till it all went so horribly wrong. We pushed her too hard, and a warp core malfunction overloaded the system, creating a pressure gradient way beyond what the ship can handle. It was heartbreaking. We lost some of our best people.
Jaa.
As captain, I have to take full responsibility. It was my decision to make, and I have to live with the consequences.
You have to look to the future. You can't dwell on the past, on things you can't change.
There's nothing that can be done about it now. In my defense, I will say, I might have avoided the whole ordeal if my senior staff had been willing to trust me. There was a lot of pushback from my former XO, and I think that cost me his confidence. I don't want you to pull any punches. Certainly not on my account.
Uh-oh.
But once we decide on a course of action, I need everyone to fully commit to the mission. Anything short of that just won't work. And that's when things start to go sideways.
Whether I agree or disagree, I can promise that I'll be honest to a fault.
Good. That's exactly what I'm looking for. But at the end of the day, it has to be my call. Look, I'll be blunt. We can't afford another mistake. Or at least I can't. I feel like my career is hanging in the balance here.
Kappas.
We need a win. Something to restore the crew's confidence.
I understand.
On a more positive note, Starfleet has tasked us with what they're calling a mission of the highest priority. Escorting a senior diplomat to Hotari space. Two previously peaceful and otherwise non-aggressive civilizations now find themselves on the brink of all-out war.
So it's a peacekeeping mission.
I see it as a golden opportunity to not only prove what the Resolute and her crew are truly capable of, but also a mission for which we're uniquely qualified. This ionic storm. Our long-range sensors suggest it's several orders of magnitude stronger than anything on record. A total anomaly like nothing we've seen before. And you'll never guess where it leads.
Hotari.
Exactly. Very nearly in the precise location where we're headed. Where I imagine the interference will be exponentially greater. But the diplomat will brief us on the details of the rendezvous.
So basically, we're being sent into the eye of a storm, more powerful than anything on record.
Kuulostaa tosi hyvältä.
Yes, but we're taking every precaution. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I expect we'll have some rough sledding when we arrive, so I need you to prepare the crew for the worst. There's just one more thing I want to clarify up front. The metric that for me will be the ultimate measure of your success.
What is it?
If after serving as my first officer, you don't one day find yourself with a ship of your own, then I will consider it my personal failure. When that might happen is entirely up to you. But it goes without saying, you have my full support.
It's been a dream of mine since before I can remember. So I would be honored to become a captain someday.
As long as you're willing to do the work, you have my promise. I'll do everything in my power to see that it happens.
Thank you.
Come. let me introduce you to the crew.
Tässä oli kai Star Trekissa. Nämä ovet sihahtavat kiehtovalla tavalla. Ja nykyään näissä peleissä nämä komentosillat on näin hermottavan kokoisia.
Everyone, if I could have your attention for a moment. I'd like to introduce Commander Jara Rydek, our new first officer. Some quick introductions. This is Lieutenant Handar, our helmsman, one of the best in the business.
One of?
Well, what he lacks in humility, he more than makes up for in ability.
A pleasure to meet you, Commander.
Likewise.
Next, we have Commander Westbrook, our Chief Science Officer. I've come to rely on his expert counsel on a regular basis.
Pleasure.
Commander Rydek, it is such an honor to meet you.
This is our tactical officer, Lieutenant Bedrosian, who's been looking forward to meeting you for about as long as I can remember.
I've been following your career for quite some time.
Funny tyttö.
And I look forward to learning as much as I can from you.
If anything, the honor is mine.
Well, I have to admit, one of the reasons I've followed your career is because you're part Kobliad, because of what you've overcome. Starfleet stands up for people who can't defend themselves, and you were one of those people once. But since then, you've done so much to protect others who need it. I really admire that. So, you've been something of an inspiration to me. Not that I've done anything close to what you've done, but you definitely set a standard to strive for.
You really do know a thing
Jokainen
or two
tarvii
about
jonkun
me.
roolimallin.
I'm glad I could inspire you, but it's important to chart your own path.
Thanks. You can count on it.
And then, of course, you've already met Commander Ermont. Please, do everything you can to make Commander Rydek feel at home here. I'll be on the starbase. Have an urgent meeting with the starbase commander to get our authorization to get underway. If they drag their feet any longer, we won't make our rendezvous. The bridge is yours.
Operations, staffing, supplies. There's a lot to keep track of on a starship. Good thing we have Commander Ermont.
Tässä on kertaus, että mitä nää on.
Hopefully a diplomatic
Vähän
mission
korkealla
won't
toi
require
taktinen
we use
asema.
our weapons much. But if it comes to that, we'll be ready.
Katselemaan Netflixiä täällä.
Science station. The Resolute is a science vessel, primarily. Might explain Commander Westbrook's attitude. I'll have to speak with him later. The helm. The Resolute is a refitted Centaur class, meaning it's capable of quick maneuvers. Can't wait to see what she can do.
Tähän alun perin noita Kit Bash-aluksia, eli ne on vaan pistetty pienoismalleista kasaan niin kuin telkkaria varten. Deep Space Nineissa muistaakseni Centauri näkyy ensimmäisen kerran. Taktinen holo.
Tactical hollow dais. Just like they've got on the Excelsior.
Commander, Chief Engineer Chovak needs to lower the structural integrity field. He's sent a crew out to recalibrate the emitters in response to the danger posed by the storm. We just need your go-ahead.
Permission granted.
Lowering structural integrity field, now.
Entering maintenance mode. Condition blue.
Storm Surge. Niinpä tietysti.
Looks like they turned off the SIF.
Great. Let's get to that emitter.
Joo, ne joutuu ottamaan askel kerrallaan. Ei mikään peruskävelyanimaatio, vaan ihan... Tää on realistinen itse asiassa.
She's still got some scars on her. It adds character.
When I joined Starfleet, all I wanted was a ride out of town. But this isn't exactly how I pictured it.
On the outside of the ship?
No. Sometimes it feels like we're just part of the machinery. Don't you want more than that? I mean, Starfleet is noble and all, but it's still a machine. A massive, massive machine.
I am more than that. And so are you. You wanted to get away. I enlisted because I didn't want to wait years just to get out and see the galaxy. I wanted to go somewhere, see new worlds, look up at a sky no one's ever seen before. Just because I'm cranking a hyperspanner up in a Jeffries tube today doesn't mean that's all I'll ever be. Diaz to Commander Chovak. We are at the SIF emitter.
Acknowledged. You may proceed with the recalibration.
Öljynvaihto.
Beginning recalibration.
Tieteisruuvari. Align the SIF, so okay. Turn 2 nodes to center the circular indicators. Tää on niinku magneettia periaatteessa. Okei. Jotkut näistä repulsoi ja jotkut vetää puoleensa.
Looks good. That wasn't so hard.
Vähän sinne päin.
Commander Westbrook, right? Chief Science Officer.
You remembered my name and my rank. Impressive.
On täällä vähän asenongelma kyllä.
Yes, I am the Chief Science Officer, and I have the dubious honor of being the most senior officer on this bridge. I know this ship inside
Tää ois halunnut varakapteeniksi.
better than just about anyone.
Well, I'm so glad you said that. Now I know exactly who to turn to when I have questions.
Questions are more Commander Ermont's territory. Captain Solano primarily relies on my knowledge and expertise when he needs answers. I'm curious, though. A Kobliad, or half in your case, is an odd choice for first officer, given your
Skifirasismia.
But if, as an example, we found ourselves in a hostile situation, and you were suddenly incapacitated because you needed an infusion, what would happen then?
Siinä on tommonen diabetes-soremus periaatteessa.
You'd leave Captain Solano without an XO. Granted, that would be a worst-case scenario, but not outside the realm of possibility.
Captain Solano's familiar with my condition. I'm sure it factored into his decision. So I'd have to say it's not a problem.
But we should probably have a contingency plan just in case.
Eikö teillä ole komentoketjua? Se on täysin normaali asia useimmilla avaruusaluksilla.
I see no reason to stop now.
Commander Sutherland, your predecessor, was one of the best first officers in all of Starfleet.
Se on aika kovasti sanottu.
And his reputation was without equal. I mean no disrespect, but the shoes you're stepping into are almost impossible to fill. He was loved by the crew, and he was one of my closest friends. So I can only hope that you'll live up to expectations.
I don't think I could ever replace Commander Sutherland. And it would be a mistake to even try.
Tää on oikea vastaus siis. Ei kukaan pysty niinku toista ihmistä korvaamaan.
Let me give you an update on this ion storm we're flying into.
Kiitos. Viimeinkin työasioita.
unlike anything I've ever seen. At the moment, I can't tell you if the Resolute will shrug it off or if we're putting ourselves at risk. However, if we learn more about its patterns, its nature, we can come up with a scientific countermeasure. Just a moment.
Juuri kun siellä on avaruuskäsö kävelemässä porukkaa. On kiva.
Tracing its trajectory. Starbase docking clamps are holding. The storm's emissions are fluctuating, coming in waves. And if my projections are right, we're about to get hit by a wide-band burst of ionic energy, like a tsunami.
I'm reading power abnormal.
Red alert.
Aye. Evacuating main gangway and retracting.
Putting sensor visualization on screen.
With the structural integrity field shut down, we can't take a direct hit.
Time to impact. 1 minute.
Shield systems are severely impacted. We have limited protection.
I need every available solution. What are our options?
We can weaken the impact of the storm with a deflector pulse.
There's a better way.
I'm sending all auxiliary power to the deflector dish.
Send the aux power to the shields. We can't reactivate the entire shield bubble, but it's a directional threat. So we can orient all we have towards the wave. You have to believe me.
We only get one shot at this. We can't afford to get it wrong.
Commander Westbrook, use the deflector dish.
Already working on it. Optimal timing displayed. It's going to be tight.
Good. Send the pulse on my command. Now.
That was too early.
Jaha. Kokeillaan uudestaan tätä.
Already working on it. Optimal timing displayed. It's going to be tight.
Good. Send the pulse on my command.
Joo, ei ollut ihan A-luokan toimintaa. Niin se täytyy tohon osua. No.
Now.
Pahuksen Starfleetin symboliikka.
This is it. All hands, brace for impact.
Jaha.
Oh, you don't say.
This radiation supercharged the plasma, forcing it to backflush through the system and creating a dangerous imbalance.
And you blow out every primary system on the ship.
Just tell us where you need us.
I need you to traverse the hull to the access port to recalibrate the port nacelle plasma regulator.
Aha. Se täytyy tehdä ulkoapäin. Koska syitä.
We've reached the first access point.
Understood. Do you see the override for the level 1 failsafe circuits?
Affirmative.
Engage the override. It should allow us to stop the EPS flow to the warp engine without triggering an automatic core shutdown.
Vai pitikö nää järjestyksen tehdä?
Failsafe override engaged.
Enpä muuten tiedä.
Are you sure? I am registering some crosstalk in the bypass circuit.
We need to route the signals so they don't interfere with each other.
Diaz to Resolute. The failsafes are temporarily disabled. Moving on to the EPS regulator.
Heads up, Carter.
What is that?
One of the discharges coalesced.
It's coming right toward us.
Toivottavasti se ei ole energiaolento. Aha.
So we gotta climb up the pylon.
Okei, ei ollut energiaolento.
An up, but you know.
Toi on onneksi huolehtii itsestään toi kaveri. Phaserikin on työkalu, että kai se Nadeonin säteily. Myös kaveri pitää huolta.
We're at the regulator. Opening the access panel.
And now halting the EPS flow to the port nacelle. We have little time before it causes an overload in the engine. You must work efficiently.
EPS manifold adjusters reset to neutral.
Okei, elikkä Star Trek Onlineissa oli itse asiassa hyvin samanlainen minipeli. Okei. Toi on hyvä. Ei hyvä. Push L before it's too late. Niin tää tarkoittaa sitä, että mun täytyy painaa eikä vetää alaspäin. Mä painoin äsken. Ja mulla on taas tää ohjain käytössä.
We have to release the ship from that other docking clamp or the hull will be ripped apart.
There's a problem. The clamps are supposed to disengage automatically in an emergency, but it's not working.
Eipä tietystikään.
What are our options?
The docking clamps are fitted with exploding bolts for an emergency release.
We've got crew out there. That'd be like setting off a bomb next to them.
Maybe there's another way.
Starbase is hailing us. Put him through.
Resolute, the remaining mooring arm is failing. You need to disengage from the starbase now. The damage to the station will be catastrophic.
We have crew outside and are looking for the
We
safest
have people
way to...
on this station. If that mooring arm breaks, we could lose dozens of crew.
Commander, hear me out. Reverse the polarity of the hull, which theoretically will repel the docking clamps.
And repel the engineering crew right off the hull into the storm.
This is Captain Solano. Put me on screen.
Go ahead. Captain, we have a situation.
Commander, what are you doing? Blow the bolts on the docking clamp.
The captain doesn't know the whole story.
I'm giving you an order. Chara?
Captain, you brought me here because you trusted me. Can you trust me now?
You better be sure you make the right decision.
The captain made himself quite clear.
They're gonna get hammered with debris out there. Reverse the polarity.
Tiedeupseeri kyllä tietää niin sanotusti paskansa.
There is protocol.
And there are lives.
Starbase, stand by. We're gonna flip hull polarity to disengage the clamps.
Yes, Commander.
Kapteeni ei tykännyt. Niitä pudistaa päätä.
Repair crew, this is Acting Captain Jara Ryden. Be advised, we are going to reverse hull polarity to free us from the remaining docking clamp. Tether yourself and deactivate your boots on my mark.
Understood.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark!
Just. Joo, uskon. Näin voi käydä. Mistä se johto tulee?
Grab my hand. I got you.
Thank you.
Sitten toihan oli Star Trek Enterprisessa, niillä ei ollut suojia, niin tää oli ainoa tapa. Niin...
Plasma imbalance is reaching critical condition. We are moments from primary system failure.
I got it.
Just. Noniin, kaveri auttaa. Tää on vähän vaarallista tää teknologia. Ouch.
I got you. Petty Officer Edselar's hurt and unconscious. I'm gonna have to tow her back to the airlock.
Mr. Diaz, the situation has changed. You are at risk of triggering a substantial electromagnetic arc to approach the main hull the way you came.
Commander, the way we came is the nearest airlock.
There is an auxiliary hatch near you on the far end of the pylon. You must bring Miss Edselar there to access the interior.
Roger that.
Ja sitten mennään. Von Wernerin syndrooma. Avaruussomu voi aiheuttaa lisää avaruussomua ja
I'm at the auxiliary hatch.
ja se on elossa.
You go first.
What?
Let me save your neck this time. No time to fight me on this. Get in there.
Not on your life.
Let's not let it come down to that.
Oi ei. Ouch. Tietysti voi myöskin selvitä siitä, että pistää päänsä hiukkaskiihdyttimen sisään. Tää yksi venäläinen tyyppi teki sillain. Henkilökohtainen Chernobyl.
They're safe. Bringing the SIF fully online.
Do it.
Ei mennyt ihan niinku Strömsössä.
Nilly,
good. Help me with him.
Se on, ei näytä kovin hyvältä.
Medical. Got one wounded at my location. Carter. You don't look so good. You gotta be more careful. I just got here.
Huh?
I'm not ready to see you two get blown to space dust just yet. Now let's get you down to sickbay.
Great.
Status report.
Kapteeni ei ole tyytyväinen.
Crew made it inside. EPS flow is back to nominal levels. The SIF is back up.
How does this affect mission readiness, Mr. Ermot?
Releasing the docking clamps using hull polarity minimized damage to the Resolute. We'll have some last-minute repairs to make, but if we reapportion some of the staff, we can make our departure on time. As of now, however, we are successfully moored to the station.
Good to hear. Send updates to my ready room. Commander Rydek, with me.
Kapteeni yritti mikromanageroida ja sovihan. Varakapteeni teki eri tavalla. No niinpä.
Well.
Respectfully, Captain, I made the right choice given the information I had.
You disobeyed my orders! And not just in front of the bridge crew, but the Starbase staff as well. That's going to get around. My name's already tarnished around the fleet. But what is it going to do to my credibility on this ship? From the top to the bottom. Bridge to lower decks.
Captain, I told you I'd be honest, so here it is. Maybe I shouldn't have disobeyed a direct order, but you were wrong. You weren't on board, and you didn't have all the information. So I made the right decision for the ship. If you're worried
Eikö se, joka on komennossa aluksesta, on silloin viimeinen vastuu?
Trust me.
You might have won some fans on the bridge with that stunt, but not everyone. Lieutenant Commander Chovak has already bent my ear.
I'm sure he doesn't take it personally. He'll get over it in time.
Mr. Chovak is more complicated than he would want to admit. I guess we all are. And, if I'm being honest, I'm not sure what I would have done in the moment either. You never really know if you weren't in those shoes. So, let's just boil it down to, you did what you had to. That'll have to be good enough for me.
Thank you for understanding, sir. I'm sure no one knows the burden of command as well as you do.
I'm sure you will, someday. Despite it all,
vastuu siirtyy sulvasti alimmalle porteille, jos päällikkö niin päättää.
So if you'll fetch Mr. Ermot,
joo, mutta kun se ei armeijassa pitäisi olla sillä eikä laivastossa. Vaan on hyvin selkeät, kuka on vastuussa milloinkin. Tietysti joo, sosiaalisesti kyllä, ehdottomasti. Mutta se, että kuka on komennossa mistäkin tiettyyn aikaan, niin se on hyvin niin selkeä pitäisi olla. Ola äskissä toosip. Varsinkin oikeassa elämässä myöskin armeijassa. Niin no.
All departments reporting full mission readiness. We've got our full complement on board.
This is my favorite moment, right now.
The start of a new mission is always full of possibility.
The Orion Syndicate could sell it as a drug.
Don't let the Admiralty hear you say that.
Captain on the bridge.
Sit everyone. You all know, I'm not big on speeches. We're embarking on the first mission since our refit. Let's make it a good one. Disengage docking clamps.
Noniin, uudet docking clampit saatu.
Docking clamps released.
Thrusters ahead, Mr. Handar.
Tuohan on aika juustoista, että ne pystyy tekemään energiasta Star Trekissa niinku materiaaleja ja ruokaa. Pitäisi olla selkeä. Nimenomaan se on aina. Asiat pitäisi olla selkeitä, mutta ne ei ole. Yksi on se, että ihmisten pitää tehdä työtä, jotta kaikki olisi samalla niinku tasolla ja ymmärryksessä asioista. Yhteisymmärrystä siis on kaikkien vastuulla. Eikä pelkästään muutama henkilö. Mut siis tää Jara käytti hyvin komentosillan niin kuin miehistön kykyjä, että kysyi vaihtoehtoja.
That should do it. Set a course for the Hotari system. Prepare to go to warp 8.
Aye, Captain.
Ja komentosillallahan ei ole ikkunaa, vaan se on ilmeisesti evakuointiovi, joka on vaan... Siinä on videoruutu. Engage!
Engage.
Vanhan Star Trekin, niinku, tai TNG:n toi warppi-efekti.
Simple, but effective.
Kattelin tossa muuten Star Trek Picardin niin 3. kauden, ja se oli yllättävän hyvä.
Whoa. Careful.
Thank you. I'm fine. Really,
You don't look fine.
Koska se on ottanut viimeksi lääkeä? Okei. Okay. Diabetes-sormus sanoo, että pahus.
I have to get to sickbay.
Go.
Se päästi sen...
Help me get her inside.
Jaha.
Well, that was quite a scare. A few minutes more and it would have been one of the shortest tenures on record for a first officer.
Is that the engineer that was out on the hull?
That storm did a real number on him, but
Miten meni huonosti?
you should worry about yourself. Your deridium levels got dangerously low and destabilized your cell structure.
Joo, komento-roolissa ja kun on vastuussa muista ihmistä, niin se saattaa unohtua se itsensä huolehtiminen tosi helposti.
Dr. Ram Duval, Chief Medical Officer. To be honest, I've never met a Kobliad before. You're
rare. I know.
Sukupuutto on kuolema rotu.
Special. Your people's numbers have dwindled despite the Federation's efforts to find a more readily available alternative to the deridium you need to survive. Yet you joined Starfleet and managed to thrive. I imagine the responsibility must be overwhelming. Maybe even a burden at times.
I know what it means. And I know the responsibility that comes with it. But I can't be anything more than who I am. And if someone has a problem with that, or expects something else, then that's their problem, not mine.
That's exactly right.
Se on ihan loistava lause kyllä.
And don't worry, I won't treat you like a science experiment. I just do the science.
Siis tää tuntuu enemmän Star Trekiltä kuin mikä aikaisempi peli tai niinku monet TV-sarjat.
I don't agree with his definition of acceptable risks. Not when the lives of your crew are at stake. My professional opinion is that the accident took a toll. More than he's willing to admit. He's overstressed.
PTSD-kapteenilla.
Pressure cooker of his own mind. Which is never a good headspace when the lives of your crew are at stake. What concerns me is that now he's even further away from the thing he's been chasing his entire career. Breakthrough discovery. The major innovation. Something he can put his name on. The more the time passes and the further out of reach it gets, the more risk he'll be willing to take.
We all have to chase our dreams, don't we? We need to take some risks. Isn't that why we joined Starfleet?
But not at the expense of other people's lives. It's too high a price to pay. And I have to give you credit for what happened on the bridge. It took guts to defy a direct order.
Huh. I Guess word travels fast around here.
It's a small ship, and everyone's curious about the new XO.
Tää oli jotain pari 300 miehistön jäsentä tässä Centaurissa vaan. Ainoastaan. Liian jos sen suurempi alus. Ammattitaidottomuus eli kompetenssin puute oli se syy miksi. Kun ei ainakaan kunnissa homma ei toimi. Niinpä. 45 vuotta pyöritellyt papereita, niin joo, ei sillä sellaisella ihmisellä välttämättä ole käytännöstä taas niinku käsitystä.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be lurking outside of sickbay. I didn't want to intrude, so it felt more appropriate to wait out here. We were all worried about you. Or I should say I was. I wasn't sure what was happening at first, but then I realized it was your condition.
I'm feeling much better. Thank you. It's just part of who I am.
Well, being a jerk sometimes is part of who I am. So,
tässä on rehellinen tosta.
My intuition earlier with the deflector pulse. I felt I should thank you for that.
No siis, Star Trekissa federaation nää federaatio-upseerinen pitäisi olla ihan täysin ylipäteviä kaikkien. Tää on meritokratia kuitenkin.
Now, Carter,
tää on ottanut osumaan.
The missions that gave you that burn are quite unusual, like everything else that goes with this storm. That's the combination of hyronalin and lectrazine to counter the radiation effects. That should help speed your healing. She's come by a couple of times to see you already. Be brief.
Be brief.
It's good to see you awake again. I was starting to get worried. Not that you aren't in good hands with Dr. Duvall. You did take one hell of a shot, though.
Ah, come on. You know you can't get rid of me that easy.
Don't push me, Diaz. You do not want to see me try.
No, nope. I am not getting on your bad side.
I am a formidable enemy. Nilly was looking in on you too, by the way. But since it's just us right now, I had a chance to think about this while I was away. And I thought it was important that I just come out and tell you. Instead of tiptoeing around it. Or worse, leaving it unsaid.
Wait, are you angry at me or something?
Oh, no, not that. I'm sorry. I'm probably making too big of a deal here. What I'm trying to say is, we've been really good friends for a long time. But I got back here and I couldn't ignore it anymore. I want to see if there's more between us than just being friends.
You don't have to explain it. I feel the same way. There is something between us.
So, do you want to find out what that something is?
Voi. Joutuukohan tää tyyppi kahden naisen välillä?
Why not give it a try?
Are you kidding me?
Työvuorolistojen laatimista, niin ei se käytännön johtamista ole pelkästään.
Sorry to interrupt, but the patient needs to rest if he wants to get back to his old self.
Of course. I'll see you again soon.
Käytännön johtaminen on vastuunottamista. Se ei ole pelkästään paperien pyörittelyä. Vaikka työvuorolistat on tärkeitä, niin ei niitä niin kuin joka firmassa johtaja tee. Vaan siihen palkattu henkilö. Cast adrift.
Approaching the rendezvous point outside Atari space.
Helm, bring us out of warp.
Dropping to impulse.
Ionic interference surging, Captain.
Tähtien sota asteroidivyöhyke.
Shield integrity holding.
We can take it.
We are the correct coordinates.
We can take it.
Commander Rydek.
Melkoinen paikka tavata diplomaatti.
Filter out environmental signals. I can manually tune what's left for Federation signal types. I've located the shuttle.
Opening comms.
On screen.
Aha.
Shuttle to Resolute. Shuttle to Resolute.
Debris field. Lost maneuvering.
Tulee vittu näyttävä. Joo, kyllä. Esimies joka osaa hommansa, niin kyllä se on pidetty. Se ei ole ainakaan haitaksi. Toimiiko impossere?
Diaz, you good to run the tractor emitter?
Yes, sir.
Pätevin kaveri aina hommiin.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Excellent Sirion sukkula.
Come on, Diaz. First thing, lock onto the shuttle and stabilize the rotation. We're pulling in debris.
Oh no.
I'm on it.
Kompetenssi. Oh no.
That's gonna take out the shuttle. Diaz, the bridge. There's a large piece of debris headed for the shuttle. The tractor beam can't handle it.
Can our shields take it?
I believe so.
Commander Rydek, plot an intercept course.
On it. Here we go. Maneuvering thrusters bearing 53 Mark 17, 200 meters on an intercept course.
Maneuvering.
Vähän riskaapelia nyt ottaa kyllä asteroidi.
Got it.
Whoa! Someone's working hard on the bridge. Shuttlecraft on board.
Good job. We're on our way down to meet them.
Jaha.
Terra firma, so to speak.
Ambassador Spock.
Joo, se on Spock.
The captain will be right down to meet you, sir.
In that case, I will wait for him here.
Well, let me be the first to say, welcome to the Resolute, Ambassador.
Thank you, Petty Officer...
Carter? Carter Diaz. Sir.
I am pleased to meet you, Petty Officer Carter Diaz. It appears I have you to thank for my safe arrival. Your assistance arrived not a moment too soon, if I may say so.
You're very welcome, sir. I'm glad we could get you here in one piece.
Indeed. We thought we were prepared for our arrival in Utari space. But it is evident my craft was not sufficiently robust for such intense ionic activity.
The storm has been pretty intense.
There was an element that was most unusual. Before you came to our aid, our maneuvering thrusters and impulse engines were rendered inoperable. So we attempted a short traversal at warp speed, only to find that we could not achieve warp at all, even though our diagnostics computer showed no faults or anomalies. What do you make of that? When all indications say that warp speed is possible, but in practice, we find it is not.
Onboard diagnostics can be wrong. I can take a closer look at your shuttle systems to get to the bottom of it.
I would appreciate that.
Take readings, run some additional diagnostic checks, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
Quite logical, Petty Officer Diaz. Thank you.
Ambassador Spock.
Excuse me.
I'm honored to have you aboard. I'd like to get right to it. We're already behind.
Spock on kanssa tässä jutussa nyt mukana. Tää on aika mielenkiintoinen, mitä noin korkea-arvoinen tyyppi tekee täällä. Ainakin jos ei ollut Nimoy, niin oli oikein hyvä imitaatio hänestä. Provocation of War. Niinpä tietysti.
Ambassador Spock, my senior staff. It's not every day that a captain gets to welcome a Starfleet legend aboard.
You flatter me, Captain Solano. But legend implies the past tense, whereas I am very much focused on our present circumstances.
I didn't mean to suggest you were stuck in the past. You're right, Ambassador. Not the most diplomatic choice of words.
We're all curious about the future, Ambassador. Specifically, what exactly are we getting involved in here?
We got the basics from Starfleet. Two formerly peaceful neighbors are now on the brink of war.
Indeed, and the tension between them grows fiercer by the hour. Lydia and Hotari. The Lydians are the more advanced species. They made first contact with the Hotari over a century ago. This is Tau, the Hotari moon. It is rich in dilithium, and for decades, the Hotari and the Lydians have shared a mining operation there. The Lydians provide the technological resources, while the Hotari have served as the labor force.
Jaha, perinteinen tarina.
That arrangement was the source of their peace, until recently. The Hotari have suddenly and forcefully seized control of the mining operations and expelled the Lydians from their system. That is the official story, as told by the Hotari when they requested Federation mediation. But the details remain scant. Communications between all parties have been limited by the ionic interference.
Have the Elydians retaliated against the Hotari? Or taken any action against them?
Surprisingly, they have not yet responded in kind. They were open to a Federation presence, but it is unlikely the relatively primitive Hotari forces would stand a chance against the Elydian fleet in open war. Left unchecked, this conflict will result in more bloodshed, which is what we are here to prevent.
And the dilithium trade hangs in the balance.
Niinpä tietysti.
Clearly the Hotari have been exploited in this relationship.
Maybe we can persuade them peace is the more profitable alternative for everyone. They both profited from the mines. And for the Hotari, something is better than nothing. Peace is our objective after all.
If we could convince them, it would restore the peace. But we would need the Hotari to accept a difficult compromise.
Made all the more difficult by the emotions flaring on both sides, no doubt.
Neither the Elydians nor the Hotari are members of the Federation, so we can't make them do anything.
There is an additional complicating factor I should mention. In the past, the Federation has relied on the Elydians as a source of dilithium.
Niinpä tietysti.
That certainly changes things.
Ja niitä ilmeisesti ei galaksissa ole hirveän montaa paikkaa.
Dilithium from a lot of places.
Yeah, and this is one of them.
We could use that as leverage with the Illidians. They'll want the Federation to continue buying from them.
There might be something to that, Commander.
Putting that on the table could make the Hotari more hostile.
Given the Federation's involvement in the Iridium-dilithium trade, Captain Solano and I must make
Spock on kuitenkin poliittinen realisti.
What worries me is if this whole thing unravels and we're at the mercy of the storm at less than full strength.
We can't let it come to that.
Considering what the Ion Storm has done to our ship and the Ambassador's shuttle, we have to assume the Ilidian fleet has had problems with it as well. This recent surge in the energy disturbance temporarily levels the playing field.
Commander Westbrook is correct. The energy anomalies around the Hotari systems have been noted in the past.
That may answer why the Hotari were able to strike back after so long. They finally had an opportunity and they took it.
That would also explain the Illidians' restraint.
And reason to learn as much about the energy anomaly as we can while we are here. We do not want to be caught at a disadvantage of our own.
Anomalioita ja dilithiumia ja kaksi rotua.
We're operating on a strict timetable here. We're going to be leaving for the negotiations shortly. Commander Westbrook, I want you to leverage our systems to investigate the anomaly from here while we're gone.
Aye, Captain.
Thank you all.
Dismissed.
I want to speak to both of you privately.
Jaha.
Ambassador Spock, I'd like to make a formal introduction. My first officer, Commander Jara Rydek.
Commander, as you are aware, there are limits to what Captain Solano and I can do in our official capacity as representatives of the Federation. But someone in an unofficial capacity, your first officer for example, would not be bound by those restrictions. Commander Rydek could ingratiate herself to certain parties behind the scenes, where they may be more candid in revealing information that could lead to a resolution.
Mitä se sanoo?
She certainly knows how to say the right things. At least when she wants to.
I'm perfectly happy to work outside the lines.
And by extension, you will be doing your duty, Commander.
Just not too far outside the lines. Well, I hope Commander Rydek will have more luck finding out what really happened than we will through official diplomatic channels.
The fate of the negotiations, the interests of the Federation, and the prospect for peace may very well depend on it.
Ei paineita.
Mr. Diaz, I understand you have already discussed the warp drive failure with Ambassador Spock?
I have.
It is imperative that the Ambassador's shuttle be flight ready. I need you both to ascertain the root cause of the system failures he encountered.
I'm surprised, Commander. I thought you would have wanted to work on Ambassador Spock's shuttle yourself.
I respect the Ambassador and his many accomplishments, but I do not derive any satisfaction from interacting with his shuttle as if it were somehow transubstantiated through its association with him. Especially when I have the entirety of this starship to concern myself with.
When you look at it logically, yes, it is just a shuttle. No different than any of the others.
There is plenty that is different about it, and that is what you are to investigate. But please limit your findings to observable scientific phenomena.
We'll try to restrain ourselves.
Yeah.
Then I will leave you to it.
Niinpä tietysti.
Make note of any abnormalities in your report. Carry on.
It seems like he's warming up to us.
Yeah.
Hyvin vähän.
Even Chovok has to look at that face and know you've earned some real respect. And I have to admit that I owe you one. You were right to make me go first. I don't know what I was thinking.
You've pulled me out of trouble how many times? Call it even.
Okay. At the very least, maybe I can track down that bottle of Saurian brandy you're still on the hook for. But first, we have work to do.
Ei sairaslomaa.
go?
All set. Let's run the diagnostic.
Etsi oikea nappi. Noniin.
So, I know about your talk with Miranda.
You do?
She sent me a priority 1 dispatch right after your conversation.
Niinpä tietysti.
I'm happy for you. Both of you.
Thanks.
But I'm only going to tell you this once. Don't screw this up. Because I would be very unhappy if you tried this out and then, I don't know, 6 weeks or 6 days later, I have to start splitting holidays between the two of you. All because things went south and you're not on speaking terms. That just isn't gonna work for me.
You really don't believe in me, huh?
It's not you. Or her. Just running the numbers, and things don't work out more often than they do. I like my friends, and I like our group. I don't want to lose that. Is that thing done yet?
Yeah, it's wrapping up. Let's see. The relays along the primary EPS are blown. The backup relays are all intact.
An EPS overload from the warp drive could cause that. But how did the shuttle end up dead in the water?
Huh. Well, maybe the ship's data recorder can tell us something. Here.
They were only about 8 minutes from their plotted warp point. No faults, just those warnings. What are they?
Subspace
variance out of tolerance. What does that mean?
It means the main navigation array lost sight of space somehow.
Will the array going offline cause that?
Yes, but it should have also thrown a fault code.
The warp field became inverted suddenly.
I've seen this happen when the center warp coil cracks.
A cracked warp coil throws a fault code.
Still, we should take a look.
There was a complete warp cascade failure.
Wow. They're lucky the shuttle didn't turn inside out.
Makes me think the computer panicked on the warp field equation.
Any one of these failures should have thrown a fault.
If it was caused by a system failure.
None of this caused the relays to blow. Roll forward to when that happened.
Yes, ma'am.
So here, they take a moment to get their bearings and they attempt to re-engage the warp drive.
There. That's the relays blowing.
And look, there's another warp system alert.
They're all the same. Subspace variance out of tolerance, or warp inversions. Finally, there's a complete warp cascade failure.
Then it's one of two things. Either a warp coil is cracked, or the navigation array is offline.
That makes sense.
Divide and conquer. You want to check the warp coils or the navigation array? I'll check the other. Let's not overcomplicate this. One of these systems is likely broken.
I'll check the navigation array.
Se on todennäköisempi syyllinen. Tricoderi. L ja left button ja right button. Biological scan mode. Tähän me etsin tässä näin. kaikki järjestelmät näyttäisi olevan ehjänä tällä hetkellä.
Navigation array checks out, so it must be a coil.
Except it's not. Checked and double-checked.
Well, the readings don't lie.
Here comes the security detail for the way team.
Tyttöystävä on loittoryhmässä. Sentään sillä ei ole punaista paitaa.
Hey.
I'm not here.
I'm not here. No, parempi vaihtoehto.
Team to the surface as soon as they come down from the bridge. I don't want to interrupt some important work. I was just hoping to see you before I go. The captain and the others will be here any minute now. Should be an interesting ride down to the surface.
Come on, I'm never too busy to make time for you.
That's not true.
No, but I am glad you came by.
No, that's more accurate.
I gotta be precise with you, huh?
Hey, Maris. Aren't these those button pushers you're always hanging out with?
And you're the phaser jockeys we always beat in Parisi squares, right?
All aboard for Hotari.
That another one of the captain's railroad things?
Gotta be. I just usually zone out by the time he gets to the whole, steam engines were the warp drives of their day part. Catch y'all later.
You don't want to miss your train.
I do have to go. Not gonna lie, I'd rather not leave right now.
Tämmöstä.
Yeah, it was.
Save some of that for when I get back.
You've got a deal.
Okei, ton kuolee varmasti.
Be seeing you.
Uhrataan draaman alttarille. Todennäköisesti. Sentään ei ottanut rikkinäistä sukkulaa.
Etzelar Diaz. If you
Maa
could
kutsuu.
float back down to reality, we still have a ways to go.
Mysteeridiagnoosis.
All right, where were we?
So, the warp coils in the navigation array are fine, but the nav computer doesn't seem to think so.
I'm out of ideas short of field stripping the shuttle from bow to stern.
You wanna take this out of the shuttle and throw it on the bench?
Oh, real hands-on maintenance. I like it. Okay, the nav computer is patched into the ship.
The ship's computer can double-check our work. If the shuttle's nav computer is putting out false data, we'll know it.
Tästä puuttuu välillä nuo tekstitykset.
Running now.
Miten moni pelintekijä käyttää tuota kuormasta syömistä naimista juonen kuljetukseen ja onko idiotismia sekä pelintekijöiltä että oikein enemmän kuormasta syöjillä? Ei ihan niin moni kuin voisi kuvitella. Tai tietyt firmat. Biovarempelit.
And it would explain why the simulation under our current sensor readings failed to reproduce the issue.
But a subspace anomaly strong enough to cause a warp field collapse would leave graviton ripples for days.
Let's run with the momentary subspace variance theory for now. Roll forward to the shuttle's attempt to re-engage the warp drive. We need the conditions of space around the shuttle at the moment of warp failure.
Resuming simulation.
Error in warp field calculation. Cochrane formula variables are out of range.
That right there. Take the shuttle sensor data from that moment.
Computer, why did the warp field calculation fail?
Warp field pressure returned non-orthogonal. Results are undefined.
That doesn't help.
Wait, what if we use a different ship?
Put the Resolute into the simulation instead of the shuttle.
Yeah, it should warp just fine. Unless... Computer?
Avaruus oli
Run the
kateessa.
simulation with the Resolute.
Resolute simulated.
Computer, give me manual control on the warp power.
Static field intensity, warp 1.1. 1.2. 3. Warp pressure is destabilizing. Error in warp field calculation. The warp drive has experienced a system-wide cascade failure. Warp field collapsed. Subspace variance is out of tolerance. Cochrane formula results are undefined.
Bingo.
What-o?
The same moment when the shuttle failed to warp, so did the ship. Whatever happened to the shuttle just happened to us. The Resolute will not sustain warp.
We can't leave Hotari space.
Varppi ei toimi. Varmaan enemmän tosielämässä tapahtuu kuin pelissä. 22 years of business, I don't recommend to that. Totta, kyllä. Työpaikkaromanssit ei ole välttämättä ihan paras juttu. Tää näyttää nyt huomattavasti paremmalta kuin toi grafiikat siellä aluksessa.
Captain Solano, welcome to Hotari. We are honored you have come. My name is Tyler Altaris, Minister of Diplomatic Affairs.
The honor is ours, and this is Commander Jara Rydek, first officer aboard the USS Resolute. You'll find she has a keen mind, and unique insight into the dynamics between the Hotari and the Lydians.
We are honored to be here, as representatives of the Federation.
I'm so glad.
These must be the representatives of the mighty Federation. The reigning authority in the galaxy. Or so we've been led to believe. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen. But, either way, we're grateful you've made the time to come to our little corner of the universe.
And you are?
This is Galvin, and this is Citron, the heroes of the revolt in the mines.
Vaihtaa katseita.
Let's hope this is the last time we ever have to come here.
If you'll excuse me.
I think we're about to begin.
Did you hear the arrogance from that guy? I don't know what we're walking into here. But that guy was something.
That may be true. But let's keep an open mind going into the negotiations. Hopefully he's just one voice amongst many.
Then let's hope he's the outlier.
The Hotari have invited us as their guests, so we must show them the proper respect.
Vaan yleensä ei toimi, niinpä. Niin, etenkin jos on esimiesasemassa, niin
Ambassador Spock, welcome to Hotari Prime.
The honor is mine, Your Majesty.
That the Federation would send one of their most respected representatives is not only an honor to the Hotari people and their queen, but a recognition of our stature and importance.
Let's get on with it, shall we? With all due respect to the Federation and their ambassador, they have no authority here. We are not members of their alliance. We are not subject to their rule, nor yours. We demand the immediate return of all mining operations to Elydian control, as it has been for centuries and will be for centuries more. That has always been our understanding.
That understanding has changed.
Then you invite war.
And if you cannot remain silent, you will be silenced. But his point is well taken. What is the Federation's interest in this matter?
Ei kai mun pidä vastata tähän.
The Federation remains neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution of this conflict. We are here at your request, Your Majesty.
For now.
I'm trying to keep an open mind here, but it's not easy. I thought they wanted us here.
Was there something you wanted to say, Captain?
Oh, no. My apologies.
And what about the Kobliad?
She's not part
She can speak for herself, can't she?
No niin, joudutaan puhumaan.
Now then, one should know their place. What you might be somewhere else is not what you are here. Which is standing before a queen. And a queen deserves respect. A bow is not too much to ask. Is Hotari Prime, heart of the Hotari system.
I am unfamiliar with your customs, Your Majesty.
We may not be a powerful civilization in your eyes, but we are prideful people. You are Kobliad. Your people suffered brutal treatment at the hands of the Cardassians. Their injustice towards the Kobliad is as unimaginable as it is unforgivable. Not unlike how we have been treated by the Elydians.
As much as they'd have you believe they are the victims here, remember it was the Hotari who attacked us.
Mielenkiintoinen taktiikka tällä kuningattarella.
Mercy in those mines.
The blood is on their hands, not ours.
Quiet! If after all the Kobliad suffered, you finally had the chance to right that wrong, to get out from under their control, would you take it? Or would you negotiate a peace?
Valintoja.
If the opportunity presented itself, and I wish that it had, more than you can know, then I would right the wrong without hesitation. For the sake of the Kobliad, we suffered enough.
Of course you would. It would be foolish to do otherwise. The Federation is the most powerful, most advanced alliance in the galaxy. It's widely known we have an abundance of dilithium in our mines. And it's in your interest to secure a steady supply.
Your Majesty, if I may.
Ambassador Spock would have us believe you're here as a neutral party in the interest
Niinpä.
of peace. So why are you really here? I want the truth, not your Federation rhetoric.
As Ambassador Spock has said, we've come seeking a peaceful resolution to this conflict, and have no interest in your dilithium.
I'm not nearly as naive as you must think. The Federation has done business with the Elydians for decades, which makes me question your motives.
What they haven't said, but cannot deny, is a simple truth. The dilithium trade would not and will no longer exist without a Lydian involvement. We created it for the benefit of everyone, especially the Hotari. We've given them warp technology. We've let them share in the profits. We've made their lives infinitely better than before dilithium was discovered. All of that goes away if the Federation turns a blind eye to their treachery.
That is enough of your lies. The Hotari are quite
eli muinainen sopimus on rikottu.
We've done so for centuries. So tell me, who deserves control of the dilithium trade and the mines on Tau? Who should the Federation recognize? The Hotari or the Elidians? It can only be one or the other, not both.
If I have to choose only one, then it would have to be the Hotari.
Well said. How could the just and wise Federation make any other?
Tää tietää, että sillä on kaikki kortit kädessä.
This is an outrage. The Federation has lost all credibility.
The mines are ours. Lydia will not be deterred. We will take back our mines by any means necessary.
And you will see more blood spilled.
I am more than willing to address your concerns, Your Majesty. Yours as well, Representative. But I suggest we could have a more productive conversation with a smaller group. Perhaps only the most essential representatives.
I suppose there is some sense to that.
Ja. Paidukaa hiiteen, niin.
Commander Jara Rydek, Your Majesty.
It's been a pleasure.
Tää nyt pelas sen ton pussiin, mutta kun mä tiedän niinku mitä muutakaan tossa vois sanoa. Sori kapteeni. Me ollaan vähän niinku lirissä nyt niin sanotusti.
Spock and I will cover everything on the diplomatic front. You make nice with the locals and see if you can get some answers. We need to find out why the Hotari are so willing to risk war. What happened in those mines?
Jaha. Undercoverilla. Tää näyttää huomattavasti paremmalta tää peli.
Soothing.
Onkohan nää niiden itse tekemiä aseita vai ostamia? Tuo oli aika jännä itse asiassa ajatus, että jos mietitään niin kuin vanhoja Star Trekkiä, siis ennen Voyageria, tai itse asiassa Voyagerissakin, niin ennen vuotta 2001, niin terroristit ja vapaustaistelijat oli niin kuin melko niin kuin korkealla niin kuin Star Trekissä, että juonissa niin kuin asetuttiin jatkuvasti terroristien ja vapaustaistelijoiden puolelle. Tää valitettavasti muuttui sitten. Mutta mielenkiintoinen niin tämmöinen juonellinen muutos niin kuin Star Trekissä tapahtui.
Commander,
tän kanssa on ollut silmäpeliä.
I knew the Federation would see through the Elidians' baseless claims and protect the interests of my people.
Even though the Hotari should have control of the mines, some of the Elidian claims are still valid.
There you're wrong, but we can agree to disagree.
I assume you were there the day the mines were seized from the Elidians.
Not seized. Reclaimed. and restored to their rightful owners. Yes, I was there. We had to be decisive, before the Illidians could even realize their worst nightmares upon them.
I'm curious why the Illidians haven't fought back.
Tää voisi olla Romulaanien juoni muuten. Tuli vaan mieleen.
Ability is one thing. Courage is another. The Illidians know any hostile action on their part will not end well. They respect one thing above all else, and that is force. The greater the force, the more certain the outcome. Any talk of making peace is just that, and worth little without the strength to secure it. Which makes me wonder about your ship, the Resolute. Undoubtedly the Federation's finest warship.
Joo, hienoin sota-alus ikinä.
With anything the Illidians might have in store.
Joo.
Or is that not true? Maybe I've misjudged it.
It wasn't designed as a warship. More for scientific research and exploration.
But the Federation must have ships designed for war.
Technically, they're Starfleet ships representing the Federation. But yes.
I see.
Sidron.
A pleasure meeting you, Commander. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
No ei tullut hullua hurskaammaksi tosta, mutta niillä on ehkä liittolaisia.
I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but these negotiations rely on the Federation's neutrality, as does any hope you might have for a supply of dilithium in the future. So, why you would choose to side with the Hotari escapes me. Without Illidian involvement, there is no dilithium trade. Clearly, you weren't aware.
Tau and the mines belong to the Hotari. They deserve to have control.
You overestimate their ability to run the mining operation. They have no idea what they're doing.
Eikö ne muutamassa sadassa vuodessa ole oppinut mitään?
Major Solid Arminta, Special Attaché, Illidian Armed Forces. Pleasure to meet you, Commander.
Mielenkiintoiset silmät.
I have my issues with the Hotari, but I have to give them some credit. They know how to seize an opportunity. Inciting an uprising the same day as a massive once-in-a-lifetime ion storm.
Epäilyttävää.
Our assumption was that this storm was just an anomaly.
Yes, a very convenient anomaly.
Joo.
At least that was what we were told. Of course, I wasn't there. But who am I to say otherwise?
You sound skeptical.
Well, the official story is that it was the storm that enabled the revolt. How else do a bunch of unarmed, unorganized miners seize control of an entire moon, much less thousands of mines?
Aseettomia.
I've talked to people who were there. They tell a different story. They say they're lucky to have escaped with their lives. That it was more than just the storm. That somehow the miners were able to harness the energy from the storm. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not even sure I believe it myself. But that's what they said.
You said the Hotari were primitive.
Well, they are.
Except for the part about weaponizing ion storms.
Niin, hyvin epäilyttävää.
If you'll excuse me, Commander Ryder.
Commander, if I could have a quick word with you.
Of course.
I'm encouraged to see the Federation supporting my people. I'm afraid of what might happen without your help.
If anyone deserves thanks, it's Ambassador Spock. No one is more invested in negotiating a peaceful settlement to this conflict than he is.
I'm so glad. We need his help before the situation escalates further than it already has. It's been very trying. I saw you speaking with the Illidian. I'm sure they're painting themselves as the victims.
The Illidians are under the impression the Hotari are somehow the cause of the ion storm.
Which I'm sure they attribute to our lack of experience or sheer inferiority. The we are as much the victims of this horrific storm as they are.
Epäilyttävää.
For the first time in our history, the Hotari have the upper hand. We see ourselves as strong instead of downtrodden.
Mitä tapahtuu, kun myrsky loppuu?
Risen up. Old voices shouted down. Galvin and Sidron have become national heroes. Now they have the Queen's ear. Better or worse, depending on your perspective.
I take it they're against a negotiated peace with the Illidians.
Heroes tend to want more of what made them heroic. If it were up to them, they'd wage all-out war and bring ruin upon us all. My fear has been that the Illidians will launch an attack and crush us. You've seen their starship, no doubt. They could have retaken the mines whenever they wanted to, but it never happened.
Ei uskalla.
And as strange as this may sound,
Joo.
I'd almost say they're afraid. I just don't know what they're afraid of. It's still the same bluster and bravado you would expect from them.
Do you think it has something to do with the ion storm? Right now, it's stronger than ever, isn't it?
It's entirely possible. I'm not a scientist, but I do know the storm has knocked out all kinds of systems. So maybe the Illidians weren't willing to risk their ships, given all the interference. Since the day of the revolt, Galvin has seized control of the mines and restricted all access. No one's allowed without his personal authorization.
Se on paikka, mikä pitäisi tarkistaa.
I'm told it could be something they brought back from the mines. I've made inquiries, but everyone pretends it doesn't exist. I strongly suspect they're hiding something.
What do you think it is?
I've heard rumors it's some sort of ancient artifact, but I haven't seen it myself.
How can we know?
I'd better see what's happening.
Juoksia.
Do you think you can find out what they're hiding? I need to see proof of something before I can make my case to the Federation.
I can try, but even if I found it, I might not know what to make of it.
Take this. You can use it to capture whatever you find, and then send it to me.
Thank you. I will let you know what I find.
Okei, sisäpiirin henkilö. Okei. Onko tänään muita paikkoja, mitä vois katsella? Ei. Alright, takaisin tonne tilaan. Vanhemmat upseerit vaan heitti tää ulos. Mies nyt pois sekoittamasta näitä rauhanneuvotteluita.
Well, that was a disaster.
What happened?
The Hotari refused to concede anything, so the Illidians stormed out.
Toimiva
Hotari
taktiikka.
did not invite us here as peacekeepers. I hope your efforts were more fruitful than ours.
Gravitational harmonics failing to resolve. Warp bubble stability degrading. Increase output to maximum.
Increasing warp output to maximum.
It's happening again.
Jaha.
It is evident that presently the Resolute cannot achieve warp propulsion.
Since our diagnostics rule out any problems with our warp systems or anything about the ship, the problem appears to be the fabric of space itself.
Space itself? You're saying something about this region of space prevents warp travel?
Prevents it, or can't sustain it.
However improbable, that appears to be the case.
We need to know more.
Otherwise, it'll be an extended stay in the Hotari system.
The storm didn't stop us from leaving space dock and traveling here. But could it still be causing this interference with warp travel?
We must follow sound investigatory principles. Do not let an assumed conclusion drive your analysis.
Sometimes we need a little inspired thinking, Mr. Chovak. Captain Solano is on his way back from the negotiations, and I want to have some answers for him when he gets here.
Indeed. Given the facts at hand, we may be able to deploy subspace probes around the ship to construct a clear picture of the phenomenon.
Around the ship. I'll prep a shuttle.
Scientific method. Tässä näköjään lähtee sukkulat tallion suoraan eteenpäin, että tuollain niinku kaivettu tohon noin renkaaseen.
I'm setting up a waypoint at a distance roughly corresponding to the edge of our warp field. When we get there, I'll deploy the first probe.
Commander Westbrook, the Resolute systems are calibrated to receive the probe's readings. We are standing by to reproduce the warp field collapse after the first probe is deployed.
Thank you, Mr. Chovak. We'll be in position shortly.
And, Mr. Diaz, do take care in piloting the shuttlecraft. Now is not the time to indulge in the human penchant for joyriding.
Chovak probably isn't such a fun guy to work for, huh?
Nah, Lieutenant Commander Chovak's not so bad. You know, once you get used to him. And, I've learned a lot working under him.
I have a feeling I'm going to have to work harder to be a political animal like you. With this new first officer coming aboard. This is far enough. Transporting the first probe into position.
Miksiköhän ei käyttänyt niinku transporteria niinku niitten sädettämiseen niinku paikalleen?
Don't get me wrong. Things are definitely trending up with Commander Rydek. She's put my ideas into action. And she listened to me when your life was on the line out on the hull.
That sounds like a good thing.
It is. But I'm still trying to figure out if she's right for the job. She didn't go through what the rest of us did. Still got chosen to be #1. Can't tell if she was actually siding with me.
Yeah, but she's lucky she didn't go through what we did. You can't hold it against her.
Actually, I think I can. Even if I shouldn't.
Test is running. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1, mark.
Mitä?
Whoa. All right, that is definitely a problem with the fabric of space. We need to get another probe out there.
Okei. Avaruus on rikki. Avaruus ei toimi.
The Resolute and the probe. We've managed to get an interference pattern. I'm setting a waypoint to a particularly strong area of interference. We'll deploy the second probe there. Listen, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice I wish someone had given me. Make sure you're never just one thing. And don't get so focused on what's in front of your face that you lose sight of the big picture. Before Rydek showed up, the captain pulled me into his ready room and told me he didn't think I had the people skills to be first officer. What a load of crap. I mean, if he'd said that about Chovak, sure.
Is that why you're being so friendly to me? Politics?
That would be clever, but I think you give me more credit than the captain does. You're all right, Diaz. And you've got potential. You're a capable engineer. You're good in the field. Keep up the good work, and who knows? Solid jack of all departments like you could be Commander-in-Chief of Starfleet one day. Hell, Admiral Jellicoe started as a shuttle pilot. And there are places to go in the
Amiraali Jellicoe.
I don't know. I'm pretty happy where I am.
You must be a glutton for punishment. Lieutenant Commander Chovak has been known to take decades to warm up to people. Here, this is close enough. Stop the engines. Deploying the probe. Westbrook to Commander Chovak. We're ready for another sampling of data.
Very good. Running the simulation again. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1. On.
Uh-huh.
There it is again.
I saw it. It seems to be directional.
Well, what about the scans? Anything?
Here's the readings in relation to our local space. We've got the Resolute, Otari Prime, and the probes.
All this interference is overloading the sensor buffers. We're gonna have to triangulate the sensors manually. We got something.
These markers indicate peaks in the gravimetric interference patterns.
Let's see if I can find some more.
Se joku muinainen puolustusjärjestelmä.
Hold up. This
Tulee
is coming
Mass
from the
Effect
moon.
Andromedan mieleen.
Thing that blocks warp travel.
Aimed right at us.
Someone is doing this intentionally. I don't know how they're doing it. This is like nothing I've ever seen.
We're under attack and we didn't even know it. We need to stop them. Unplug whatever it is they're hitting us with.
Now, look here. It's our current readings of the ion storm.
These concentrations. They line up with the interference pattern. The storm and this beam, they're coming from the same place.
Carter, whatever petty local conflict brought us here, it's just a small part of something much bigger. Presently, we don't have an explanation for how they're doing this. One thing is clear. This is no fluke.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook. I want a full briefing when I'm back on board. Solano out. A targeted weapon that inhibits warp travel. Coming from the moon Tau.
That would explain the difficulties my shuttle encountered. More importantly, the tenor of the Hotari during the negotiations.
And here I thought the Illidians would be the problem. Coming to peace talks in a warship. This wasn't supposed to be so complicated.
For all their posturing, every indication is that the Illidians are afraid of the Hotari.
Niin jos ne voi
They didn't
pysäyttää
bring their
avaruusalukset,
warship as a
niin
threat. They brought it because they're scared.
From everything we witnessed, I would say that is highly likely.
But what are they afraid of?
Tylus, the Hotari representative, said she thought they found something in the mines. Galvin and Sidron brought it back
kaivoi
to
liian
Tylus,
syvälle.
but they're keeping it under tight security. She's going to investigate it. I gave her my tricorder. I expect she'll contact us soon.
You found an ally.
Why would Tylus help us? Go behind her people's back? It's a fair question, considering.
She doesn't like the way Galvin and Sidron have been manipulating the situation. And the Queen. Working with us to go around them isn't the same as betraying her people.
That may be true.
She's certainly more likely to help than the other Hotari we've met.
That raises another question. Specifically, what do the other Hotari have to gain in bringing us here, only to make this hostile maneuver against us? There must be some motivation.
Unless they changed their minds between when they asked and when we got here.
That's the thing. It doesn't make sense to bring us here. Tylus said that Galvin and
Chalmar
Citron
pelaa Forttia kavereitten kanssa. Varmaan arvaat miten käy, joo. Palataan siis myöhemmin. Kyllä.
Then calling in the Federation is a funny way of going about it. I don't think the Elydians know what's really down on that moon either.
Major Armintas said the revolt defied explanation.
Onneksi on vodit olemassa, voi myöhemmin näitä nauhoituksia katsella.
Harness the energy of the storm.
Doing that is beyond even our capabilities.
So is a weapon that disrupts warp travel.
There have been civilizations and entities, both past and present,
Ne tekee jotain aliavaruudelle.
than the Federation.
The Elydians and Hotari don't fall into that category.
But that is all the more reason to investigate further.
Tässä on nyt jotain hämärää.
Commander Rydek, sorry to interrupt. We've received an urgent call from Hotari. The Queen's advisor, Tylus, has asked to speak with you.
Put her through.
Galvin and Citron are still with the Queen. I've enlisted help to gain access to the room they have under guard. I don't have much time.
I'm not supposed to leave my post.
It's only for a moment. I so appreciate your help.
I found something. I'm sending you a scan.
Got it. Tylus, if we needed to gain access to the mines on Tau, is that something you could help us with?
Meidän täytyy siellä käydä.
I suppose it wouldn't be easy, but I have to go.
Tylus.
Can we reconnect?
Sorry, Captain. We've lost all contact.
We can only hope she escaped without harm.
It was hard to tell.
Tylus wouldn't have offered to help if she didn't know what she was doing.
That's a lot of faith in someone we barely know. Let's see the scan of whatever the hell that was.
Tylus suspects this came from the mines on Tau.
Kyllä käyttöliittymä.
It appears to be of ancient origin, but the markings are unfamiliar.
We can run a full analysis when we get back to the Resolute. But if this came from the mines, then it might be the key to how they got the upper hand against the Elydians.
Then we have to go into the mines.
The Federation would not allow that. We were, after all, sent here to be a neutral party in a peace negotiation. However, we could demonstrate that the Hotari have acted in bad faith, which would enable us to investigate the mines on Tau with full justification. But of course, we would need conclusive proof before taking action.
Whatever this artifact is may be proof enough, at least to satisfy the Federation.
Especially if we can show the Hotari are controlling the warp disruption.
Muistaakseni Federaatio oli tosi tarkkana tuosta warpimatkustelun estämisestä.
But a mission to the mines, covert or otherwise, is not out of the question.
Okay.
And I will handle the Federation.
As I was telling Carter, I want all the data I can get on this warp problem. And the negotiating team's shuttle has been recording data all the way back from Hotari. Even better than our probes. So pull the sensor and engine ISOs from the Melville when it sets down.
Will do.
I'll join you and Chovak down in engineering to run another analysis after the briefing.
I didn't like this warp problem when we thought it was some astronomical anomaly. And I like it a hell of a lot less now that we know someone is doing it to us. How does it work? What do we even do about it?
What he
you say we pull these chips and find out?
Took some damage on the way. That ionic interference scored the hull plating. Might be some micro welds. Let's try pulling together.
All right.
3, 2, 1. It won't budge. Gotta be the storm damage. We need to... Welcome back. Any excitement down on the surface?
Excitement? No. Nothing like that.
Hey, can you hand me the EJ7 interlock? From the toolbox.
I don't know what that is.
Not much use for one on a security detail, huh? Carter?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Vähän tyttöystävää pitää piristää.
Okay, I'll apply pressure while you decouple the panel.
Okay.
Here, I'll help.
We've got this.
Open up and say ah.
Thanks for the hand. We have to get these isolinear chips down to engineering.
No problem. You really know everything about these ships, don't you? The tools, the systems. Like a walking Starfleet technical manual.
Well, what can I say? I'm good at what I do.
Tää on vaan pyörittelee silmiä.
Come on, start pulling.
Ja mitä? Mä sanoin jotain väärin. Okei. On tänne korttipakka.
Kind of crystal formation?
Kristallia.
Whoa. This substance is a quantized spin crystallization of hydrogen, carbon, and lithium. It's emitting tetrametric pulses at an interval of 3.8422 seconds.
Quantized crystallization isn't natural. I mean, it's only theoretical as a means to engineer matter on a subatomic level. What's it doing in there?
Kvanttikristallit on... Joo, tää ottaa sen käteen.
Wait. Regulation 364 subsection 9.
What?
Regulation 364 subsection 9 orders that in the case of an unknown foreign substance infiltrating a sealed system, it will be placed in secure confinement before further examination.
Yeah.
Retrieve a containment module.
No.
Don't you think we're more equipped to deal with whatever this is?
No. Before anything else, this is a security issue. You don't even know what this is.
Which is why we need to study it.
Once it's contained.
Well, if it's not natural, then someone might have put it there. It could be a tracking device. Some kind of sabotage. Or even a bomb.
Which is why we need to get it to the containment lab.
Come on.
I can't make an exception. Not even for you.
I'm still going to report these crystals to Commander Westbrook when we send the shuttle data.
And I will inform my superiors. I'm taking this just as seriously as you are.
No, ehkä huono idea läpsytellä sitä.
Now these crystals. Maybe this situation is more than we can handle with just a science vessel.
Eikös tiedealuksen tehtävänä on tutkia näitä?
Get Starfleet to send more ships. Or I could send a message to my old CO on the Adirondack. Get some combat-tested vessels.
Miranda, you gotta be more careful. Someone hears that, they could think you're talking mutiny.
I'm just trying to figure out how we can help. Okay, stand back. Get this to the containment lab. We'll get it set up for you. I'll let you know when it's safely confined.
Oh, we'll be there.
Last thing you want is to study this down in main engineering and have it explode next to the warp core.
Joo, ne tuppaa aina konehuoneessa tutkimaan kaikki oudot artefaktit. Jaha. Oh joo, toi kannatti.
Can't have that.
For a second I thought she'd gone cold on you.
Niinpä.
Like she might have changed her mind.
Jaha.
But I guess this whole situation has her spooked. Maybe she knows more than us? Or it's because this is all happening so fast?
Now, you can't tell me you're not a little spooked too. We all should be.
Believe me, I'm taking it seriously. But Miranda talking about sending a distress call on her own?
No joo, se oli kyllä vähän
that's
outoa.
going too far. She was probably just thinking out loud. I'm sure she'll come to her senses. This mission has enough complications stacking up.
Now, we'll get through it. You, me, and Miranda too.
Commander Rydek was able to work behind the scenes during the negotiations and made contact with a representative from the Hotari delegation named Tylus. She mentioned an unusual artifact of unknown origin being held under tight security within the Hotari Palace, which she believes came from the mines on Tau. Now, this artifact might have a connection to the revolt, to the storm, and to the warp disruption we now know has been targeted at the Resolute. Commander Rydek, if you want to take it from here.
Of course. Tylus managed to infiltrate the heavily guarded location within the palace and sent us these scans using my tricorder. It appears to be some sort of control panel, possibly connected to the warp disruption weapon originating on Tau. Of particular interest is this symbol, which we couldn't identify the origin of.
The Federation database has records
from a vast number of
civilizations. If anyone from Starfleet has come across this before, the system should recognize it.
Cross-referencing with Federation records.
Displaying symbols from Federation database with a 90% probability of match or higher. Select a symbol to further analyze.
Tuo on aika lähellä.
.2% match.
Got it.
Ticon Empire.
So, what are we looking at?
The design and composition indicate this is a glyph associated with the ancient Ticon Empire. Their civilization collapsed over 600,000 years ago, but once spanned millions of systems with a population numbering in the trillions.
Fascinating. The Ticon were once the most advanced, most powerful civilization in the galaxy.
Is it possible the Hotari found Ticon technology?
I wonder if they even know what they have.
Our knowledge of the Ticon is limited. I have only encountered passing references to them.
Actually, I've heard of the Ticon.
You have?
Quite impressive, Commander.
Oliko se Enterprise
Computer, Summarize
Joo,
the Enterprise
että
D's
muistan
discovery of the
sen
Takan outpost.
oikein jakson.
On Stardate 41386.4, the USS Enterprise D, under the command of Captain Jean-Luc Picard, discovered a Takan outpost in the Delphi-Ardu system. According to the mission summary, an unbreakable energy-draining field was deployed against the Enterprise and a Ferengi ship. The Enterprise was only able to escape after negotiating their release with an entity known as Portal 6-3, Guardian of the Takan Empire.
Unbreakable energy draining field. It starts to make sense.
What else is there?
There's a lot here. Let's take it piece by piece.
Select the aspect you wish to learn more about.
Someone from the Takan Empire is actually still around.
Or at least was, 16 years ago.
Okei, 16 vuotta sitten.
Computer, what other information do you have on Portal 6-3, Guardian of the Takan Empire?
The entity known as Portal 6-3 is of an unknown nature. A biped humanoid, he was unaware that the Takan Empire no longer existed at the time of the encounter. He was able to control the crystal-based technology of the Takan outpost through apparent telepathic means. It was by his choice that the Enterprise was released from the energy draining field after Commander William T. Riker of the Away team argued on behalf of both Starfleet and the Ferengi.
Telepathic control of their technology.
2380 sijoittuu tää peli.
The technology to capture and hold the Federation flagship would have to be unbelievably powerful. Computer, what else can you tell us about the energy-draining field the Takan used?
The Enterprise D was unable to break free on its own. The precise nature of the technology was never fully understood. Only that the crystalline technology used was beyond the comprehension of then-current Starfleet science.
The engineering team found a quantized spin crystal formation in the shuttle you took to Hotari. They registered tetrametric radiation coming from it.
We have Takan technology on board right now?
We might. I'll run a full analysis in the containment lab.
Okei, eli tää on itse asiassa samaan aikaan kuin Star Trek Lower Decks. Haha.
There appears to be some sort of restriction order from Starfleet. Computer, explain this restriction.
A Starfleet directive similar to General Order 7 forbids entering the Delphi-Ardu system or attempting to make contact with Portal 6-3.
aikaan siis.
Starfleet doesn't throw up a no trespassing sign for just anybody.
I suppose it makes sense considering what happened to the Enterprise D.
Ei oikeastaan. Meinaan niin. Ellei Enterprise ole löytänyt jotain niinku teknologiaa sieltä.
What sort of planet is Delphi-Ardu 4?
Delphi-Ardu 4 is an M-class planet, a barren rocky world with little to no vegetation and frequent ion storms. The giant crystals that grow there absorb energy, but it is not understood how they do so. The entire Delphi-Ardu system, consisting of 11 planets, was considered completely uninhabited until the encounter with Portal 6-3.
Frequent ion storms. That can't just be a coincidence.
The Elydians should have crushed the revolt. But if the Hotari have Takan technology and can control it, I see why they're willing to negotiate peace. For all we know, this could be just the beginning. And we're up against something greater than we can imagine.
This kind of power in Hotari hands, it could be dangerous. For everyone.
Agreed. Which is why we should find a way to neutralize it if we can.
If it helps, we've been able to triangulate the source of the ionic interference and warp disruption to a specific mine on Tau. Engineering used the latest data from your shuttle to pinpoint its origin. There.
So we know where to look.
We need to know what's down there. What the Hotari are hiding. To better understand what we're up against. And to neutralize it if we can.
Captain, embarking on a mission to the Hotari moon would not be viewed favorably by either side. However, given the circumstances, we are entirely within our rights to defend ourselves.
I just want to make sure this doesn't blow up in our faces. Which is why I'm thinking of sending Commander Rydek on a covert mission to Tau.
assuming you're up to the task. It would require absolute secrecy. And obviously, it's not without risk.
I'll get the away team in and out. They're in safe hands with me.
Under normal circumstances, that would be the case. But given the sensitive nature of this incursion, I'm afraid you'll have to go it alone. I'm hoping Tylus can accompany you. The priority is to avoid detection. It's a calculated risk. The last thing we need is to get caught and then blamed for violating our neutrality and aggravating an already tense situation. We can't afford any mistakes, which is why I've chosen you.
Tylus will be essential to my success. Not only her knowledge of the mines, but her ability to gain access, particularly now that we know which mine we need to get into.
Make sure she understands the need to keep this covert.
She's not going to want her people to know about this.
Get in touch with Tylus and make the necessary arrangements as discreetly as possible.
Bridge to Captain Solano. The Illidians have moved additional ships to the edge of the Hotari system. Current heading is straight for the homeworld.
Understood.
It would seem we no longer have the luxury of waiting. In that case, may I suggest you and I return to Hotari Prime. Doing so will provide Commander Rydek as much time as possible to complete her mission.
Agreed. We'll hail the Queen's delegation from my ready room. We all know what we need to do. Dismissed.
Panokset kasvaa. Täällä on vielä näitä ohjeitakin. Okei, tunnetaan kaikki jo periaatteessa. Alright, tää on itse asiassa hyvä kohta niin kun päättää tähän. Pienet saunan jälkeiset pelit. Täytyy jatkaa näitä näin niin lauantai-pelejä sitten jatkossa. Joo, tämmönen oli tosiaan niin Star Trek Resurgence. Se tosiaan tosi paljon Telltalein peliltä vaikutti, että sä teet niinku valintoja ja se tarina menee siihen suuntaan. Alkumeno näyttää vähän halvalta, mutta näköjään siinä on oikeasti niinku aika hyvän näköistä grafiikkaa ja äänisuunnitteluun panostettu ja näin edespäin. Cedric itse asiassa parani, mutta tuossa alussa vaan tuntui siltä, että oli aika valjua siellä aluksen sisätilassa. Vois katsoa, että onko tähän jotain niinku shaderimodeja. Ainakin reshading varmaan voisi ehkä injektoida. Ehkä näin. Mutta tosiaan niin kun tätä jatketaan nyt jatkossa. Deus Ex just päättyi. Redfallia en ajatellut jatkaa, mutta Cthulhua voisin jatkaa. Se päästiin aika pitkälle siinä. Niin. Ei muuta kuin jatketaan pelailua. Hyvää viikonloppua kaikille. Ja no, vielä ei voi sanoa, että nauttikaa kesästä, mutta nauttikaa keväästä.